One of the greatest mysteries of human existence is the question of identity. Philosophers, psychologists, sociologists, and self development coaches have all asked, who am I? At first glance, this seems like a simple question. Yet, when explored deeply, it opens a vast reflection on the true nature of human beings. We all think we know who we are, but in reality, our identity is far more malleable, conditioned, and evolving than we often imagine. In the framework of identity shifting, the conscious act of changing one's sense of self, it is essential to first understand what identity is, where it comes from, and how it shapes our behaviors. This foundation allows us to consider the possibility of transforming who we are. The word identity comes from the Latin identitas, meaning the same. Identity is therefore what makes us consistent with ourselves despite the passage of time and external changes. From a psychological perspective, identity can be defined as the sum of beliefs, behaviors, habits, values, and perception that a person holds about themselves and the world. In other words, your identity is the collection of your answer to the question, who am I? I am shy, identity. I am athletic, I am lazy, or I am ambitious. Again, that's identity. These statements are not eternal truths. They are stories you repeat about yourself, which gradually become your reality. Identity is not innate, it is learned, built, and reinforced over time. Several factors contribute to this. Family. From childhood, parents and siblings attach label to us. You're quiet, you're naughty, you're smart. These words, repeated, become internalized beliefs. Society. Schools, friends, media, and culture provide models that shape self perception. Personal experiences. Every success and every failure builds our self image. An embarrassing moment in class may create the identity of bad at public speaking, while a compliment may spark good communicator. Self talk. The way you speak to yourself internally reinforces identity. Phrases like, I'll never make it, or I can do anything, are never neutral. Identity, therefore, is the result of progressive conditioning. You were not born shy, confident, messy, or hardworking. You became that way through repetition. Major mistakes people make is to believe that identity is fixed. They say that that's just how I am. People don't change. I was born like this. In psychology, this reflects a fixed mindset. People with this belief limit themselves because they consider trait as unchangeable. Yet, research shows that identity is malleable. Carol Dweck's theory of the growth mindset suggests that abilities and personality traits can evolve through effort, practice, and learning. Similarly, James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, explains that identity is a byproduct of habits. If you exercise regularly, you become athletic. If you procrastinate daily, you become a procrastinator. Identities follows action. Thus, identity is evolving. It changes whenever beliefs and behaviors that support it change. To understand what can be transformed, identity can be broken down into several components. Belief, what you hold as true about yourself. Habits, repeated actions that define you. Dominant emotions, anger, joy, anxiety, calmness. Language, the words you use to describe yourself. Environment, your surroundings and the people around you. Values and aspiration, the deeper motivations guiding your life. Each of these elements can be questioned, dismantled, and rebuilt. Most people do not choose their identity. They simply accept the one shaped by family, society, and past experiences. This is the unconscious identity. But there is also conscious identity, the one deliberately chosen. Identity shifting is precisely about this choice. Instead of passively accepting who you are, you become the architect of your self future. Example, someone might say, I am someone who hates reading. This is unconscious identity. But if they choose, I am becoming a passionate reader, learning to enjoy books, they have begun identity shifting. The difference lies not in abilities, but in the decisions to redefine yourself, oneself. The difference lies not in abilities, but in the decisions to redefine oneself. A concrete example of identity transformation from shy to leader. A teenager who sees themselves as shy avoids social situations, but by choosing to become a communicator, they start raising their hand in class, then speaking in groups, eventually becoming a charismatic speaker. From messy to organized, someone identifying as chaotic can decide to become structured. By making their bed daily and keeping a tidy desk, they embody their new identity. From smoker to non-smoker. The real shift happens when someone stops saying, I'm trying to quit, and instead declares, I'm not a smoker. These cases illustrate that identity is the root of lasting change. Changing actions without changing identity leads to temporary results. But identity change triggers deep and sustainable transformation. Identity can be a prison. If you believe I am unlucky, I'm bad with money, or I can't change, you will unconsciously repeat those patterns. Your brain constantly seeks to confirm your beliefs. But identity can also be a key. By consciously choosing a new identity, I am disciplined, I am confident, I am capable, you direct your mind and behavior toward new realities. True freedoms lie in understanding that you're not what you have always believed. You are a collection of choices and you can choose differently. Understanding identity means realizing that it's not destiny, but a flexible construction. It is built through beliefs, habits, language, and environment. It can be entered unconsciously or shaped consciously. Identity shifting begins with this realization. You are not trapped in the image you currently hold of yourself. Your present identity is only one version among many possible. At any moment, you can step into the role of architect of your future self. The process of identity shifting. After understanding what identity is and how it is constructed, the next step is learning how to consciously change identity. The English term identity shifting refers to the process of leaving behind an old version of yourself and embodying a new one. It is a journey that requires awareness, courage, and consistency. Contrary to popular belief, changing identity is not about luck or New Year's resolution. It is a structured path that follows clear steps. In this chapter, we will dive into the process of identity shifting, exploring the core stages, practical methods, and common obstacles to overcome. Step 1. Identifying the old identity. Every change begins with awareness. The first step is to identify the current identity you carry. Many people fail at transformation because they try to adopt new habits without addressing the root, how they define themselves. This requires asking fundamental questions. What stories do I tell myself about who I am? What limiting beliefs shapes my behavior? What repeated actions currently define me? What excuses do I use most often? Example, someone who constantly says, I have no discipline, I always start things without finishing, is living under the identity of the chronic procrastinator. This person can read every productivity book on the planet, but as long as they see themselves this way, they will return to old patterns. Identifying the old identity is uncomfortable. It forces us to confront contradictions and failures, but it is crucial. You cannot leave a house until you know which house you are in. Step 2. Creating a clear vision of the new identity. Once the old identity is acknowledged, the next step is to define the new identity you want to embody. Here, clarity is power. Many people fail because they set vague goals like, I want to be healthier, I want to succeed, I want more confidence. Identity shiftings demands a precise vision. How does this new version of me think? What habits do they live by daily? How do they handle stress and challenges? What language do they use? Who do they surround themselves with? A practical tool, identity visualization. Every day, take a few minutes to imagine your life as if you were already this person. Feel the emotions, adapt the posture, think with the words. Neuroscience shows that the brain does not fully distinguish between vividly imagined scenarios and reality. When experienced with intensity, mental rehearsals sends a strong signal to your subconscious. This is my new reality. Example: a student who identifies as average can craft the vision of being disciplined, organized, engaged in class, and ambitious. By repeatedly playing this mental movie, they begin behaving in alignment with it until it becomes natural. Step 3: acting as if. This is the most powerful and misunderstood part of the process. Many believe they must wait until they feel confident, succeed, or become legitimate before acting like the person they want to be. The truth is the opposite. By acting as this person now, you become them. This is known as the act as if technique. Want to be a writer? Write every day, even before publishing. Want to be a leader? Start taking initiative, even without an official title. Want to be athletic? Move and train like an athlete, even before you have your body you dream of. Concrete example: a smoker who says, I'm trying to quit, continues battling temptation daily. But someone who declares, I am not a smoker, shifts the entire identity. Actions naturally follow. Step 4: reprogramming the mind daily. Changing identity is not a one time act, it is a daily training. The old identity does not vanish overnight. Your brain will resist, your social circle may remind you of your old self, and past habits will attempt to resurface. This is why regular reprogramming practices are essential. Identity affirmations. Avoid vague phrases like I try. Replace them with clear statements. I am disciplined. I am confident and calm in all situations. I am becoming a successful entrepreneur. Identity journaling. Each night, write down 3 proofs that you act in line with your new identity. Example: today, I finished my workout even though I didn't feel like it. That proves I am disciplined. Environment design. Your environment is a powerful identity shaper. If you want to shift but remain surrounded by people reinforcing the old you, the transformation will be difficult. Sometimes stepping away from old influences is necessary to create space for your new identity. Micro habits. James Clear explains in Atomic Habits that small daily actions build identity. Reading 2 pages a day makes you a reader. Walking 10 minutes daily makes you an active person. Identity is strengthened by accumulating evidence. The obstacles of identity shifting. Changing identity is transformative, but it is not without challenges. Inner resistance. Your brain seeks safety and consistency. If you have always been shy, it will resist your attempt to act confidence, perceiving it as a threat to stability. Self sabotage. At times, you may fall back into the old identity for comfort or fear. Example: an entrepreneur returning to a secure job out of fear of failure. Social pressure. Friends, family, or colleagues may resist your change. They might say, you've changed. This isn't you. You'll never pull this off. These comments reflect their discomfort with your growth, not your potential. Real life examples of successful identity shifting, from mediocre student to doctor. Instead of saying, I am not smart, they choose the identity of disciplined student, creating strict study routines until success became inevitable. From introvert to speaker. By adopting the identity of communicator, they began speaking in small groups, later addressing larger audiences, ultimately become a recognized speaker. From overweight to athlete, shifting from I'm a foodie who can't resist to I'm a dedicated athlete, allowed them to align nutrition, exercise, and sleep with the new self. The common denominator is that success did not come from willpower alone, but from identity transformation. In conclusion, the process of identity shifting follows a simple yet powerful logic. Identify the old identity, create a clear vision of the new identity, act as if you are already this person, reprogram your mind daily. This path demands perseverance and courage, but unlocks immense power, the ability to become the author of your own life. By consciously choosing identity, you redefine not only who you are, but also what you are capable of achieving.